About 40 miles off the eastern coast of South America lies the colorful little island of Curacao, the most important in that small group of islands known as the Dutch West Indies. We approach this island through the little port of Willemstad, the main street of which is a waterway wide and deep enough to admit the largest boats afloat. The island of Curacao was discovered about the same time Columbus discovered America. It was originally settled by the Spanish, but the Dutch acquired it in 1634. Among the early Dutch governors was the illustrious Peter Stuyvesant, whose name is also linked with the history of New York. Both the French and the English made several attempts to acquire the island, and for a number of years it was a British protectorate. In 1815, however, it was returned to Holland, and to this day it has remained under the crown of the Netherlands. The colorful houses that greet us as we sail by are so Dutch in character that they remind us of old Holland itself. Sailing up Main Street in an ocean-going liner is one of the unique thrills of world travel, and this is the only place in the world where such an adventure is possible. Curaçao's main attraction is the famous Queen Emma Bridge, which opens and closes at all hours of the day for the benefit of the numerous boats that are constantly sailing in and out of Willemstad. The idea of this bridge was conceived by an American consul and built by the Netherlands government over 60 years ago. It is electrically controlled, and it is conceded to be the largest of its kind in the world. Most of the boats that sail into this unique harbor are loaded with crude oil from Venezuela. Oil refining is the island's most important industry, and one of the reasons for this is the fact that Willemstad is practically a free port, while taxes on refined oil in Venezuela are said to be very high. While the bridge is open, a little ferry is in active service for the benefit of those who cannot wait until the bridge closes. Until recent years, a toll was collected from the pedestrians crossing this bridge. And in view of the fact that the fee was higher for those wearing shoes, it was the custom for many of the poorer people to carry their shoes across, thereby avoiding the extra toll. Curacao has become a most popular port of call for visitors who never tire of watching the Queen Emma Bridge as it opens to welcome the numerous ships that sail in with new cargoes and new interest. In spite of its progressive contact with most of the countries of the world and its modern commercialism, Willemstad has managed to retain in its architecture the quaint and colorful atmosphere of an old Dutch town. Pure-blooded Dutchmen, however, are very much in the minority, and there is little in the manners and customs of the native people to remind us of their mother country. Extremely low import duties have helped to make Willemstad a shopper's paradise. Perhaps the best-known commodity to be purchased here is the world-famous Curacao, the liqueur which adopted the name of the island itself. It is made from a particular species of orange, which seems to grow best in Curacao, although it is now being made in other countries under the same name. Curacao is naturally dependent upon the outside world for its food supplies, a large amount of which comes in boats from the neighboring country of Venezuela. Many of the boats are tied up along the piers for the sole purpose of conducting business direct with the consumers. At the native market, we find the types of people who comprise the majority of the island's population. They are mostly Negroes, coming from the same strain that has populated all of the habitable islands of the Caribbean. And not a few of them can trace their ancestry back to the days in which Curacao was the center of the West Indian slave traffic. Freedom of religious worship is one of the features of Dutch government in all parts of the world. And here we find Protestants, Catholics, and Jews enjoying a feeling of brotherhood that is a praiseworthy tribute to Dutch tolerance. The Church of the Rosary, one of the 13 Catholic churches, is a fine example of the many religious institutions in Curacao. The old Jewish cemetery on the outskirts of the town is a reminder of the fact that the Jews have figured largely in the history of the island. There are inscriptions on tombstones here that date back as far as 1640. The Dutch Government House is probably the most imposing building in all of Curacao, and among its ancient archives may be found a history of the famous Dutch West India Company, which was one of the Netherlands' strongest arms of empire. Willemstad has a population of about 25,000 people, and thanks to its great oil refineries, it is now one of the most prosperous little towns in the Caribbean. Dutch is the official language, but Spanish and English are both spoken, particularly by the upper classes. The natives usually converse in papiamento, which is a mixture of Dutch, English, Spanish, French, Portuguese, and Indian. Unfortunately, our visit to Curacao is now drawing to a close, but as we take a few farewell glimpses of the colorful streets and houses, all so reminiscent of that little mother country several thousand miles across the sea, we cannot help but feel a wave of admiration for the ancient Dutch mariners who braved the stormy seas of adventure to expand the boundaries of civilization and spread the great creed of tolerance to the four corners of the globe. Our first and last impression of Willemstad will always be that of the Queen Emma Bridge opening its long arm of welcome, symbolizing, as it were, the hospitality that awaits all visitors to the colorful little island of Curacao.